Welcome to the Vietnamese Poetry Literature channel. Today we will listen to the lifetime work of author Thach Lam. Let's listen. The dismissal whistle rang loudly in the air. Immediately all work in the factory stopped. The men grabbed the coats and hats from the hangers and hastily piled together towards the door like a wave of people. Lien and her girlfriends were more leisurely, because their work had been done a long time ago. Looking again at the laundry bin full of clean clothes they made in a car workshop, the female workers came out the back door of everyone. They happily chatted like sparrows in harvest time. But Lien could not hold back the shiver that would shake her body every time she came before a tall black man who sat guarding the gate and examining the workers. Lien's whole body stiffened under two fat black hands massaging her insides. She closed her eyes as if she didn't want to see the guard's disgusting smile and his deep-set eyes sparkling with desire. Once outside, Lien felt relieved. The bustling scene on the street made her happy. A few female friends walked together on the sidewalk, talking about stories from the office as they walked, occasionally making one girl burst out into a few bursts of laughter as clear and loud as a child's laughter. Even though Lien and her girlfriends had been there thousands of times, every time they left the factory, they felt happy like someone who had just finished their work. That simple joy made her forget for a moment all her hardships and sad thoughts. At the turning point where we are about to say goodbye, we all stop under the almond tree. Lien will tell you. You guys are going home now, your husband and children must be very happy. Only you are suffering. Everyone looked at Lien and said nothing. Because they know Lien married a cruel, abusive husband who often beat her. Furthermore, her mother-in-law was also cruel and cruel. She would harass her even the slightest bit, to the point of even forbidding her friends from coming to her house. When Lien turned away, her friends looked at her with pity. Ms. Lien is really miserable. She works hard all day to support her husband's family, but when she comes home, her husband abuses her. Ms. Sin, the oldest in the group, her voice was full of anger. If I were like her, I would leave her and marry someone else. I work to earn a living, so I don't have to rely on my husband's family for anything, so I'm afraid. Another person smacked his lips and sighed. It's just because of her hard luck that she met someone like that. Lien walked slowly alone. She was no longer happy because she was about to return home. She sadly thought about the peaceful situation in her family. When she came home from work, her husband and children would take care of her. As for her, it was no longer a family she had left, it was a hell. Lien did not understand why her husband and mother-in-law were so cruel and hated her. Perhaps it was because in the past her parents forced many people to marry her? She guessed that was probably the case because every time she scolded her mother-in-law, she mentioned it and tormented her. Lien sighed, recalling the time of her life since she got married. 7 or 8 years have passed, but Lien thinks it seems like a long time, as if half a lifetime has passed. She came to her husband's house at the age of 17. Why did she marry this husband and not Tam, the person she loved since childhood and now works in the same office as her? Lien doesn't know why anymore. When her parents offered to marry Tik, using the excuse that the two families still knew each other, although Lien was not satisfied, she still did not refuse. But she didn't dare to refuse anything. She thought that she was born only to be dictated to, and never dared to resist. During the 7 years she lived at her husband's house, she endured so much suffering and torture that she did not dare to complain. Lien just silently felt pain. She pitied Tam for suffering because of her. When he heard that she was getting married, Tam ran away from home. A year ago, a coincidence caused her and her ex to meet each other working in the same office. Tam still loved her, and after learning she was suffering, he asked her to leave her ex-husband to marry him. Lien often happily imagined her pleasant life if she married Tam. But Lien still refused. Even she didn't understand why she refused. It seemed like there were dark reasons that made her afraid, not daring to accept the invitation. Lean dimly saw that she did not have the courage to do such a thing, nor was she assertive enough to resist the harsh things happening around her. It wasn't because she was attached to her 6-year-old son. She didn't love him because he was as insolent as his father. But leaving her husband and children to marry Tam, to be happy with herself alone, Lean felt was something she could never do. This morning, when she entered the office, she saw that Tam was different from usual. He called her aside and said with tears in his eyes, "Lean, tomorrow I have to go to Saigon, but I don't know when I'll be able to return. What do you think? If Lean still loves me, please leave with me. We will be far away from this place. I promise to make Lean's life happy. Lean is willing, Lean." She just bowed her head and cried. When she saw Tam turn away in disappointment, she felt pain and resentment, as if her intestines were torn apart. It seemed like from now on, something was broken and could not be recovered for the rest of her life. Stepping into the house, Lean suddenly felt scared. The atmosphere in the house was heavy, as if an accident was about to happen. Tick and his mother were sitting and chatting when they saw her return and stopped, each sitting in his own place, but occasionally glancing at her. Lean quietly entered the room to watch her child sleep, then sat next to the tray of cold rice to serve. She quickly took a few bites of rice, trying to swallow it to finish the meal. Suddenly her mother-in-law approached. Her gentle voice frightened her. "Hey Ms. Lean, are you really planning to follow Mr. Tam to Saigon?" Lean was startled and panicked and replied, "Mom, who told you that? Who else said it? But I don't need someone to tell me to know." "Well, if you're going, just make arrangements and go, don't stay here anymore." "Yes, what do you need for this house?" Lean said. "Mom accused me of injustice, but I didn't dare to do that." The mother-in-law got angry and scolded. "Don't be so talkative, girl. Someone clearly saw you standing and talking to him this morning, so why deny it, you bastard? I tell you the truth. Do you think you can escape this house?" The old woman grumbled and scolded her with bitter words. Tick was still sitting on the chair, silently saying nothing. Lean shed tears, put the half-eaten bowl of rice down on the mat, and complained. "Mom keeps asking me things. It's so cruel, don't let people swallow any more food." She choked, dropped her chopsticks, stood up and started to walk downstairs. But there was the sound of a chair being pushed, then a hand grabbed her neck tightly. "Are you calling my mother evil? It's not evil to let you follow a guy freely, right?" The iron-like hand squeezed and turned her around. Lean saw Tick's terrifying face facing her, his eyes bloodshot. Anger made his voice tremble. "Whore." Lean briefly thought about Tam's elegant face in the morning. She looked at her husband contemptuously. "Let me go." Then she collapsed under heavy punches and kicks. Jealousy makes Tick stronger. He gritted his teeth and fought hard. He hated her to the extreme. It's not because she doesn't love him that he's angry. But she fell in love with someone else, seemingly piercing his pride. He could never forgive that. When Lean saw the voice and woke up, it was already afternoon. Opening her eyes, she saw her child standing next to her, looking at her in fear. Lean Rong sat up, afraid, because he remembered that he had missed work. But when she moved, she felt pain all over her body, and the afternoon scene appeared in her mind again. A hatred arose in her heart. Lean remembered that tomorrow Tam had to move to Saigon. Why can't she go with Tam? Who banned? Why am I here to endure such suffering? Must go to escape hell, go to enjoy some happiness that she has the right to enjoy in life. But tomorrow, Lean's plans are all gone. She took her child to see Tam off at the station, then left Tam alone to board the train, taking with her the last hope of her life. When the convoy was gone, Lean felt so much pain rising up in her heart. She put her head down on the iron pillar, then burst into tears. Day after day, Lean continues to suffer a life of misery and pain every day. The dream of a happy life with Tam, Lean sadly considered the beautiful things she saw displayed in store windows, precious things that she thought could never belong to her. At the end of the work, please support me with the like button and subscribe to the channel to listen to more works.